Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, fourth chapter, as we have started, it's all about Jnana Yoga or transcendental knowledge. So, Lord Krishna starts speaking about his transcendental knowledge that he had earlier passed on to the sun god and how it came down through the parampara and and why he chose really Arjuna to give this confidential knowledge. So, and then he explained about himself, then about his own spiritual nature and the spiritual nature of his appearance and activities and everything. And he also says that anyone who knows that in truth is guaranteed to go back to Godhead. So, and then he also explains that this knowledge, which leads to liberation, is the ultimate, and by through which we can understand that Lord Krishna, is the ultimate goal of all paths, and everyone is dependent on his mercy for attaining success. And he also briefly spoke about how he created Varnashrama system through which people can realize the spiritual goal or liberation, and alongside of fulfilling their material desires also. But he's transcendental. He's above all these systems, and he's only neutral and he facilitates. So therefore, the jivas, they have desires and they act to fulfill their desires, but the Lord is not. He neither aspires for any fruits of action, and nor does he in need of anything. And he is also not responsible, he says, for the right or wrong activities of the individual jivas, because they have their own free will. So he only facilitates accordingly. And therefore, he tells Arjuna, one should not be, bewildered by all this, but everyone should follow the path that is shown by liberated souls, and by acting in their, following in their footsteps, we will also attain the transcendental world. So now, because one may tend to think that all this is gone, bygone, and it may have been okay for the people in the bygone ages, and now it may be obsolete, it may not hold good. Will it really work? So he says yes, it really works, because many people previously have also, they have completely purified themselves and they have attained me. And now Krishna talks about Karma Yoga from shloka 16 to 24. After explaining about his own transcendental position, Krishna now analyzes what really is karma and how to perform, activities on transcendental plane. That is, whatever we do, it is through our body, mind, or words. That is all be within the three modes of nature. That is sattva, raja, tama. And when such activities within the modes of nature, they are called karma, because they will also produce resultant karma. So whatever karma we do, it will have a karma phala, or a fruit or a reaction for that. But now, you know, the real reason why one should understand karma and intricacies of karma or karma yoga is because then we can understand how we can get out of this entanglement which is caused by karma. And this is the most important thing for all of us who have been suffering in this material world since time immemorial, because even though, let's say, a person is trying to be good in this life, but he has maybe bad karmic reactions coming from past life, which are again making him do bad karma. So that is also possible. In many ways, we are entangled by this karma. Uh, so now, if we do bad things now, again we have to suffer. Even if we do good things, again we have to come back to enjoy those good reactions. But one may think, no, what is the problem there? But the thing is, nobody can claim that they're only doing good work, because when there is something good, there'll always also be something bad. So that is the nature of the material world. Therefore, now Krishna says in the shloka number 16, Kim karma kim karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha tatte karma pravakshyami yagnatva mokshase shubhat. Even the most intelligent people, the pundits, the scholars, even they sometimes are bewildered actually in able to distinguish what really is karma and what is akarma. Therefore, he says, let me explain to you what really karma is. And because if we know karma, then we will become liberated from all sorts of misfortune. So now we have previously discussed in brief what is karma, akarma, and vikarma. So here Krishna tries to delve into that to some extent. So karma means all the duties that are prescribed for us in the scriptures, in the Shastra. That means Shastras will tell what is the dharma of a woman. For example, that is three dharma, because she has to be married and she has to take care of her husband and her husband's family and her children and take care of the household affairs and all this, for example. So everyone, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they also have their karma. So this is karma, what is prescribed for us in the scriptures. When someone does things against what has been set aside for us, for our particular situation. So that means everybody doesn't have the same karma. Like I said, man does not have to do all these that is set aside for women. So, but for women have to follow all these, and if they don't, then that is called as vikarma. So, but one who is not, even though he is doing karma as prescribed, but he is not really aspiring for any fruits from that. That means he just performs his duties for the sake of it or for the sake of the Lord. Such a person, he will not be entangled by such karma, because now he is not doing this for his own self-interest. So that is called as akarma. So by performing this kind of akarma, that means by being detached to the fruits of these activities, then we get liberated. Therefore, we have to understand what is good karma, what is bad karma, and then how to go beyond that. Therefore, he says, karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. So, Krishna himself is saying now, the intricacies of karma is very difficult to understand. Sometimes, in certain situations, Uh, a good karma may become bad karma may become good. Say, for example, there are some stories in the scriptures giving examples of this. Um, I'll just give in a brief format how. Let's say if we have to save someone who's about to be killed, and if we lie in order to save them, then that is good karma. But if you think that no, lying is not bad, so I should speak the truth even at the cost of someone's life, then that becomes bad karma. So we will get very bad reaction. So therefore, so it is not easy, not always straightforward to understand. And therefore, Krishna is saying we have to understand now what really is good karma and bad karma. Just give me a minute. So Krishna says here, intricacies of karma is very hard to understand. Therefore, one should properly know what is forbidden action, that is vikarma, what is inaction, means akarma. Even though one does karma, but he is not affected by it, or he does not get um, karmic reaction for it. And then what really is proper karma. So, therefore, now he says, one who sees akarma in karma, that is inaction in action, and action in inaction. He is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although he is engaged in all sorts of activities. So, a person who has already reached the state of pure Krishna consciousness, that is, he's already in a spiritual platform. He is no more bound by karma. He is free of karma. Such a person, whatever activities he performs, it is all performed for Krishna's sake. And therefore, he will not anyway enjoy or suffer the effects of its work. Just like, well-known example is, Srila Prabhupada. He was working almost round the clock continuously. He was also engaged not just in preaching or writing books, Srimad Bhagavatam and other sacred literature, but he would sometimes be seen in handling the money matters, financial matters, and so many legal matters, real estate matters, like a businessman. But then he was beyond all this effects of karma, because none of it he was doing for himself. He was doing everything for the sake of Krishna, because it was all because it was related to this Krishna conscious society. Therefore, whatever he did naturally was inaction or akarma. Therefore, an intelligent person should also, he should never do anything for his own self-interest. Everything should be done for the sake of Krishna. Then he will not be also bound. So, I've given this example before also. It's a very popular example that Srila Prabhupada has given. So, just like a cashier in a bank may get several lakhs of rupees or even crores of rupees, every day. And there may be some outgoing money also, several crores or lakhs or whatever. But it really doesn't affect the cashier. Some days there may be a very big inflow and small outflow, or some days there may be a very small inflow and big outflow. But will the cashier feel sad that, oh, today bank has received very less money? No, it doesn't matter to him, because It is not his money. He understands that because it all belongs to the bank. He's just doing his job of getting the money and depositing it, or getting the money or giving it uh, to others. So therefore, he is not affected. So similarly, we should also act not for our sake, but for the sake of the Supreme Lord. Then we are not at all bound by our actions. All this bondage comes about only because we are identifying that we are this body, and therefore this is mine. All that I do is for my sake, or for my family's sake, and that we are thinking that I am the doer. So therefore, Krishna says this time and again. We should be free from sense of proprietorship. Nirmamo nirahankaraha. So we should be free from false ego. That means we should always understand, at least theoretically, we should keep, we should be conscious that, whatever I'm doing is just because the Lord has, I'm doing this for the sake of the Lord, and because I'm just the servant of the Lord. And then none of this belongs to the Lord, to me. Everything belongs to the Lord. If these two things we understand and we realize it, then in whatever situation of life, in whatever activities we may be performing, we will not be touched by karma bandhana. So, therefore, Krishna says, he in every in every endeavor, in whatever action a person does, if he is has no desire for his own selfish sense enjoyment, then we can understand that that person is full of knowledge, because now he's already gone beyond this demand or craving of the senses. We generally we perform our activities because I eat something because, oh, my tongue wants to eat, taste something nice, or tongue wants to eat, or belly is hungry, or I may wear something nice because my eyes want to see something which is very nice, and I want to look good, and so on. But that same consciousness has to be changed. Of course, it won't happen overnight. Everything by practice and by the mercy of Vaishnavas and the Lord, it can be done. So, therefore, everything should be done for the sake of the Lord. Then, when such a person, even the smallest action, because any action we do, there is always a cause for it. There is a reason why we are doing it. And what should be the reason? The reason should be for giving pleasure to Krishna. So if that is there, then that's how the Vrajvasis think. Radharani thinks. Whatever, every small action they do it for the sake of the Lord and His pleasure. So therefore, a worker for whom all these reactions of karma, if it is all, when it is all burned up by the fire of knowledge, what is the fire of knowledge? This is the knowledge that nirmama nirahankara, nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to the Lord, and I'm not the doer, I'm just the order carrier of the Lord. Then with such understanding and consciousness, all the karma will get burnt out. Abandoning all attachment to the results of activities, such a person, the person in full spiritual knowledge or Krishna consciousness, he is always satisfied and independent. What do we mean by independent? Independent really means we are not really dependent on anyone for our happiness, because they are called as Atma Rama. Atma Ramas are the people who are fully dedicated to the Lord, and they are continuously engaged in the service of the Lord, especially Shravana and Kirtana. They're constantly chanting the glories of Lord, they're constantly chanting His holy names, and they're constantly either hearing katha or they're reading from the scriptures. In order to do these things, we need not be dependent on anyone. We don't have to. This doesn't need any money or any luxury or nothing at all. So a person who is completely uh, engaged in this bhakti, he doesn't need any material uh, resources, so to speak. That's why he is not dependent on anyone for his happiness, and therefore he does not perform any fruitive action. That means whatever action he performs is not karma, because it has no reaction. Everything is on a spiritual platform. And therefore, even though he may be engaged in all sorts of activities, he is not bound by it. So, this is a very common theme we see being stressed or emphasized by Krishna time again and again. One is Tyatva karma phalasangam nityatrupto nirashraya. So, one who has reached the spiritual platform, the first symptom is that he's trupta, he's satisfied. The Lord, this term he uses in many contexts. And there is one more popular shloka, Brahma bhuta prasannatma, nashochati, na kankshati. Samah sarveshu bhuteshu, madbhaktim labhate param. One who has come to the spiritual platform, he is no more hankering for anything. He's very satisfied and peaceful, because he is not in need of anything. And if he gets something by the will of providence or will of the Lord, he has no problem, he will accept it. And if he does not get anything, or if he loses something which he already has, even that he accepts as the will of the Lord, and he is not disturbed. And therefore, in all circumstances, he is always satisfied and he is independent. And therefore, whatever actions he performs, because it is all dedicated to the Supreme Lord, he is untouched by karma. So, such a man of understanding, the Lord says, now he acts. How does he act? He will act with a perfectly controlled mind and intelligence. And he gives up all sense of proprietorship. So this is also another symptom of one who is a liberated person. Nirashir yatat chittatma tyakva sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan napnoti kilvisham. So, self-realized person, God-realized person, even though he may act, he may be engaged in all sorts of activities, it will only be for the sake of the Lord. It will be Krishna conscious activities mostly. Or even if it looks like ordinary activities, like I gave the example of Srila Prabhupada, it will only be for the sake of the Supreme Lord or his devotees. But if at all he acts for something for his own sake, that will be only to keep his body intact, body and soul together. So he acts only for the bare necessities of life. He may get little prasad and he'll eat, he may drink little water and he will dress very simply, he will live very simply. He's not interested in accumulating a lot of money or luxuries. Therefore, he acts only for the bare necessities of life. And because he's already given up all sense of proprietorship, he never thinks that, oh, this belongs to me, I have so much money, I have so much property. No, he's already given that up. And therefore, he acts only for the bare necessities for his life. Thus working, he will not be affected by sinful reactions. As long as it is only for the bare necessities, then that is valid, and that is definitely within the tenets of dharma, it is only when we try to accumulate more than what is required, more than what is our share, that is when we accrue papa karma or bad reactions. That's what even the Ishopanishad says. ईशावास्यम इदम सर्वम यत्किंच जगत्याम जगत तेन त्यक्तेन भुंजीताः मा गृधा कस्य स्विद्धनम. The Supreme Lord, the Creator, he's already set aside for each and every living entity our own share of whatever resources we need to survive in this life. But especially the human civilization in this modern age, it's become so unaware, or it doesn't care for other living entities. So therefore, it's a very self-centered civilization, and therefore, even at the cost of destroying the resources for other living entities, human civilization is just swallowing up all the natural resources at large. That means, even all the forests and rivers and streams and all these are all the habitats for different wild animals and different species of life. But now there are hardly very, very less amount of forests are even spared nowadays. And therefore, we are really encroaching on others' share in many ways. Therefore, this Ishopanishad also says that, we should not encroach upon others' property or others' share of life, because the Lord has already set aside our own share. So when we just stick to our own bare necessities of life, then that's fine, because that is set aside for us by the Supreme Lord. The problem arises when we take someone else's share. That is why we get bad. Person, he's satisfied with whatever gain comes on its own accord. So one should get different material necessities of life. This is what Krishna says. Over and over again, such points come across. We come across such points because we have to utilize most of our time to grow in Krishna consciousness, to develop our bhakti. Therefore, we should keep our material necessities of life as minimal as possible. That way, we can get more time for this activities of bhakti. So therefore, a Krishna conscious person, naturally, he is very satisfied as long as he's doing bhakti peacefully. He doesn't really work very hard. Therefore, many materialistic people, they accuse devotees, saying that they're escapists because they don't work as hard as others and all that. Because for yes, this doesn't mean that they're lazy. So they may be satisfied materially, and they will take whatever comes their way according to their own karma. But they will surely work very hard for the sake of the Lord, to propagate the Krishna conscious movement, or to serve the Lord and his devotees. For that, they will be very active. Therefore, because he is not in need of so much more than what is already there in his share, he is free from envy. He doesn't envy anyone. Envy people, people will envy one another when they are not satisfied with their own whatever they have. Then they'll try to encroach on others. But if they're fully satisfied, There is no question of envy. And they're satisfied only when they are free from dualities. That means when the life that is full of dualities. Krishna says this again and again. We have to become aloof for all these dualities, because sometimes there may be happiness, sometimes there may be misery, sometimes there may be we may be successful, sometimes we may fail, and so on. So life is full of dualities, but if one is overly affected by it, then again he becomes bewildered. Then he cannot progress in the path of bhakti, because again he will lose his focus, and then he will try to uh, work towards that, because now he's not satisfied, then he has to work hard to get what he wants. So therefore Krishna is advising us, be satisfied with whatever comes your way. That doesn't mean we can always expect only happiness coming our way. Either happiness or misery, we should not be affected by it. Therefore, such a person who is steady in both success and failure, such a person is never entangled, although he is performing all sorts of karma. Next, Krishna says, the work of a man who is unattached to the material modes of nature, that means this liberated person, any activity he does through his mind, body, and words, they are not uh, a product of this material nature. That means they are not touched by sattva, raja, or tamoguna, because he is fully situated in transcendental knowledge, and therefore everything he does, it is all of the same spiritual nature. So there is a nice shloka in the 5th chapter, we will see later, that says how these great souls, how do they live like that? Now Krishna is saying this all, he's telling us what are the symptoms, right? What are the symptoms of one who is in a one who is already on a spiritual platform, and how therefore how such people perform activities on a transcendental platform. And in the 5th chapter also he says, ब्रह्मण्येवादि कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन padmapatram vivambhasa. So he gives an example of such a liberated person, even though situated in this world full of dualities and full of karma bandhana and full of sattva, rajat, and tamoguna, still this liberated person, how can he remain untouched by all this? He gives an example. Just like how a lotus flower, it is very much inside water. It's not out of it. But still, even though living in water, the either the lotus flower petals or the lotus leaves, they remain untouched by water. That is the characteristic of lotus flower, because we can see they don't become wet. So that's why Krishna says one should be like that. Padma Patra Ivambhasa. How the lotus, stays in water. Even though it is inside water, it is not touched by it. So such a Krishna conscious person also, he is never entangled, although performing all activities. So now the work of a man who is unattached to these material energy or different modes of nature, namely sattva, raja, tama guna, and who is fully situated in the spiritual knowledge, then all the activities of such a person, that will also become spiritual. So Srila Prabhupada would always give the example of how when iron rod is put in fire and heated for a long time, then what happens? Gradually, the iron also becomes of the quality of fire. It will get that quality. It will be very, very bright, very hot, and it won't be, for all practical purposes, it will be fire. So nobody can touch it now because it is fire like. So similarly, one who is uh, in the spiritual platform, anything and everything, or one who is connected to the Supreme Lord, he also becomes like the Supreme Lord. He will also become completely spiritual. All his activities will also be on the spiritual platform. Therefore, now he's saying a person who is in such a who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, because he's completely now transcendental to these material energy, he will also attain the same nature as the Supreme Lord. That means he will also become fully spiritual, and therefore he will return to the spiritual self. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmano Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So, by offering everything to the Supreme Lord Brahma, let's say in a fire yagna, butter is being offered or ghee in the fire, and so many other articles will be offered. So when it is offered to this yagna, it is then they will no more be material ingredients. They will also become spiritual in contact with such a spiritual yagna. Similarly, a person in Krishna consciousness, everything related to him will also become completely spiritual. And now, Krishna also talks about how different types of yagnas are done, how different people, according to their own inclinations, they worship the Supreme Lord through different yagnas, through different ways. So some yogis worship the demigods, devatas, by offering different sacrifices, or they perform by different yagnas. They offer the devatas, and some offer some do the yagna for the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Brahman. And so this is one type of yagna. So generally in India, by yagna, generally people think it is this kind of yagna where there will be a fire sacrifice and we offer different articles. It could be ghee, it could be grains, it could be fruits, or even some cloth, silk, or whatever. That is only one kind of yagna, and it is called as dravya yagna, wherein material ingredients are they are offered in such a yagna. But there are many other types of yagna. So yagna means offering to the Supreme Lord. So when others who are brahmacharis, they have sacrificed their sense of hearing, and just for hearing only the topics of the Lord. So that is also kind of a yagna, because otherwise the ear can be used to hear all sorts of material things. But this person has sacrificed all that, and now he's only hearing Lord's holy name or katha. So that is one kind of yagna. That is, and um, they have also given up their senses, enjoyment, and how they're offering their senses in the fire of mental control, means controlling the senses for spiritual um, development. That is also a kind of a yagna, because they can be otherwise using the senses for their own selfish enjoyment, giving all that up when they use the senses for uh, performing different acts of the Lord, or by just controlling them with the mind, mental control. That is also called as um, that is one kind of a yagna. Or the grihasthas, they can also sometimes they also sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses. So there is always this why it is known as the fire of the senses, because the senses are always demanding for uh, sense objects. So that is also a kind of fire. So by controlling that, when by diverting that for the sake of the Supreme Lord, when senses are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, for example, we use our senses only to see the Lord's uh, um, deities. That is, spiritual engagement of the eyes. Or when we use our tongue only for honoring the prasadam, that is also another kind of a sacrifice. Therefore, this is also another kind of sacrifice or yagna. Then, sarvanendriya karmani, prana karmani chapare, atmasayama yogagnau, juhvati gnana dipite. There are some others who are interested in achieving self-realization. And how do they do that? By controlling mind and the senses. And so senses, they need constant engagement. They always want, ears want to always hear something, eyes want to always see something. Therefore, when all such functions of these senses and are they are used only for self-realization. So therefore, by controlling the mind of senses for self-realization, they are also performing one kind of yagna. And some, by just controlling their prana or life breath, they offer this as a offering or into the fire of the controlled mind. So what is called as pranayama, that is also a kind of a yagna, because one may think, oh, what is up with all just, it's just breathing, it's just a physical activity. But simply breathing, whether we are conscious or not, we are breathing. But when we actually try to consciously breathe in a certain way, as enjoined by yogic practices or the pranayama, that will regulate the body and the mind, because it will not only increase the body's vitality, and even it goes to the extent of increasing one's lifespan. And the immediate benefit is that it will calm the mind. So that is one quick way to calm the mind is by this breath control. So why should one calm the mind? So all this is also these are all tools that help us, get closer to spiritual nature and practice our spirituality. Therefore, this is also a kind of a yagna. And therefore, usually pranayama is actually done for yogis. It is done by yogis who who want to meditate. So nowadays, of course, it's only done for bodily health, taking care of health for that perspective. But originally it is actually uh, performing Dhyana Yoga. Then Dravya Yagnastapo Yagna, Yoga Yagnastatha Pare, Swadhyaya Gnana Yagnascha, Yataya Samshita Vrataha. So some people have taken strict vows by sacrificing their different possessions, whatever they have, and others perform tapasya by following Ashtanga Yoga, and while others they dedicate themselves for studying the Vedas, and that's how they advance in the uh, Gnana Yagna in the process of uh, gaining transcendental knowledge. That is also one kind of yagna. So in every sense, every different types of yagnas, we are sacrificing something material for the sake of the Lord or for the sake of spiritual development. Therefore, all these are taken as different types of yagnas by the Lord. Then some others who are, again, they are more interested in pranayama and breathing practices. What they do is they try to restrain their breath, and they'll ultimately reach that mental equilibrium. Apane juhvati pranam, prane panam tathapare. So they remain in trance, and then by offering the moment of, so they offer the outgoing breath into the incoming and incoming breath onto the outgoing, and thus they will remain in trance and they stop all breathing. So this requires a lot of, obviously, years and years of practice, and it's not even practical in Kali Yuga. But there used to be, or even now there are very few numbers. Maybe there are some yogis who can still control their breath, and because of which they gain control not only over the senses but also over the mind. So just by doing this, they can be in samadhi. And others also, they cut down on their eating process and they offer the outgoing breath itself as a sacrifice. So all these performers, so now Krishna makes a really nice statement here. Sarvepyete yagna vido yagna kshapita kalmashaha yagna shishtamrata bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. All these performers who know the meaning of sacrifice, they become cleansed of all sinful reactions. So it is very important for us to really, even in Krishna consciousness, even in different practices, whatever we do, we have to understand the meaning and significance. Only then we will get the full benefit. So when we do things mechanically, we may get some benefit, but not entirely. So therefore, in every endeavor, we should be very conscious, and there should be a sense of offering to the Lord, and then we become completely cleansed of all sinful reactions. And by doing that, we will surely taste the nectar. And therefore, Krishna is saying, having tasted the nectar of the results of these yagnas, one will advance towards the Supreme Lord. So, thus, by performing various yagnas, one will surely be blessed with the nectar. And the highest nectar is obviously relished in bhakti yoga. And therefore, even in the second chapter, Krishna says, Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartati. Once we get the taste of nectar, so that is the higher taste, then we will gradually advance towards the Supreme Lord by giving up all